Bob King with us right now, former UAW president, what he makes of all of this. Mr. King, thanks for coming. What do you think of, first off, Mr. Fain's pretty strong language regarding Donald Trump?
Oh, I think he's absolutely right. I remember Donald Trump promising people in Lordstown, don't sell your home, don't move, we're going to keep this plant open. And then he didn't lift a baby finger to make any difference. Lordstown never should have closed in my mind. So I think Sean is exactly right.
So we've been reading a lot, Mr. King, into the fact that the union has not made a presidential choice yet. Some in the White House were getting nervous about that because they wonder if the union would back Joe Biden. It seems safe to say after that language there that they're still inclined to support Joe Biden, assuming he's the Democratic nominee.
Well, I think that what President Fain is absolutely right. We need President Biden to do more to excite workers, to get workers to come and vote. Just a union endorsement alone doesn't move people to the polls as much as you need to win elections. And so we need to be able to go to workers and say, here are specific things that President Biden has done and or committed to do that will dramatically help you. And that's how we get members to make sure they and their family members get out to vote. So President Fain, I think, is exactly right in the position he's taken so far.
Got it. Sorry to jump on you there, Mr. King. But he has so far pushed back on talking to the emissaries the White House wants to bring to Michigan to deal with this, the acting labor secretary, Julie Su, and Gene Sperling, the White House advisor, who are going to come there and sort of, I don't think play the role of arbitrators as much as keep the negotiations going. Mr. Fain seems to be saying, not now. I don't want to talk to these guys now. What do you make of that?
I think he's right. I would hope that Gene Sperling, who I've worked with over the years, and Julie Su will talk to the companies. The companies have created the strike. I think that's important to understand. I've been on the picket line. I spent about an hour and a half out there yesterday with workers. I mean, some of the exploitation and abuse of workers is staggering to me. I talked to one member, 18 years working, doing a good job for these auto companies. It took him to get to full pay. That's just absolutely wrong. 10 years he was a temporary. That's morally wrong. That's unacceptable. And so getting rid of tiers is extremely important. It's about fairness and justice, getting cost of living protection, all the things, all the list. I don't need to go through the whole list. I think are just about restoring what workers gave up to save these companies.
But are we giving, is Washington giving the push that's presenting this dilemma for these workers and now on strike, that this EV push, which is not exactly a financially rewarding venture, thus it might be down the road, but even many of the workers with whom we chatted, they think that's a bugaboo, and that's been a problem. Have they been pushed into this corner by the very folks who supposedly want to help them?
No, I would say no. I'm proud of the UAW history going back to Walter Reuther, that we've always been environmentalists. We've always pushed for the general public welfare as well as the welfare of our membership. Sean has been great about that in his statements and his view of what this contract means. There's going to be a movement to EVs. All Sean and the UAW is saying is we want a fair transition. We're not trying to block that move.
Well, does he want a longer transition, Bob? Does he want a longer transition? Because that fair transition is a costly one. They lose money selling electric vehicles. All the major giants do, except Tesla, that's devoted itself to just that. So that's the rap against it.
Well, in any transition, it's going to be costly at the beginning, right? These companies are extremely profitable, extremely strong financially. They should be paying those workers in the EV battery plants, like in Ultium, the exact same. They should have the exact same contract as UAW members. They're replacing UAW members in engine and transmission plants. And so a just transition means those workers are either under the national agreements or have some protections, strong protections, that they have the same agreement as workers in engine plants have today. That's a just transition. How long it takes is really a decision for consumers, right? Consumers will decide whether it's a short or long transition.
Well, consumers are apparently saying it's going to be a long transition. They're not into it. Maybe the range improves, batteries improve. Who knows? It could take a while. So therein lies the rub, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, and you still, as a responsible union, both to your membership and to the common good of the general public, we want to help on the environmental crisis that we're in. And so we'll work with the companies. You know, I worked very hard with the companies when I was there on getting standards for emissions. We'll work with whatever administration is in power to make sure that happens. We agree with President Biden that is a crisis that we have to deal with. So, I mean, I think the demands of the UAW, the economic demands, are extremely important, and the members strongly support being on strike. Every member I talked to, it's probably a couple hundred when I was out there on the picket line, are strongly in favor. They don't want to be on strike, but they feel it's necessary, and they're willing to stay out there until they can get a fair contract.
All right, we'll see how long that takes. Bob King, a former UAW president, great having you on. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here.